Good morning and welcome to Impact Church. From our home to yours, we just want to say a huge welcome to you this morning. We hope that you're safe and that you're doing well, and that this service is an encouragement to you today. If you're a kid tuning in, we'd love to invite you to check out the links down below. We've got a bunch of kids services based on different age groups, and they are designed just for you. After the message this morning, you're going to be hearing a worship song. And then if you want to continue to worship further, we have a playlist of songs that we love listening to at Impact Church. While us in the ACT, or maybe where you're watching from, we're experiencing lockdown at the moment, we just want to remind you that we're still doing life in community. And this morning we have one of our Impact Church members, Ian, and he's going to be sharing a bit about why and how community has been such a blessing to him. So here's a clip from Ian.
Hi guys, it's Ian here, just doing a quick video from home. Just saying that one of the ways that we've been able to stay connected during the lockdown is by being on a WhatsApp group, and there's a few of us guys that are doing that at the moment, based around the Alpha course, and gives us the opportunity to just have a chat about things pertaining to the course. But it's also been an opportunity for us to grow together as a group of guys who can just talk about some deep and meaningful stuff when we may not always get the opportunity to do so. Making Jesus the centre of the conversation. And it's been a real interesting journey. It's a real time of growth and connectivity. So what I was thinking that, if you're able to do something similar for yourselves, then jump on the opportunity to do so, because we're called to be part of a community, not to be part of something that's separate. And we have to use the technology that we've got, and this is one of the ways that we can do that. So we found it a real useful time together, that we've been able to experience Jesus through what we've been talking about. So give it a go. So that's my message for you today. We've enjoyed doing what we're doing, and we're going to carry on doing it, and hope to chat to you all soon. Bye.
Thank you so much, Ian, for sharing that thought, and I love that. Give it a go. So we've got heaps of Connect groups, and we'd love to welcome you into one. There's room for you. So if you'd like to join a Connect group, you can text the mobile number down below, or contact us via our social media accounts. We'd love to hear from you. And like Ian just shared, it's so good to do life together and using the technology we have in this season, but also outside of this season, we love doing community. After this service, in line with community, we're going to be having an e-morning tea. So the links to the Zoom are down below for you to click on and to join us, and that will be starting at 11 a.m. We're so excited to be having a Breath Night coming up on the 28th of September. Breath Night is a night of prayer and worship, and we do that together as a community. I know for me, the first time I experienced worship in my faith journey, it was so impacting to me. Music's always been something I've loved, and I'm sure lots of you can relate. Listening to a great song is so powerful, but there was something different with worship and the way that spoke to me, and a way to engage with God that was different to anything else I'd experienced. A way to be reminded of truths of who He is and that He loves me, and a way that I could declare that to Him, that I glorify Him, that I love Him and can worship Him through singing of songs and praying together. So that will be coming up on the 28th of September, so jot that date down and more information will come out soon. We just want to say thank you for your ongoing generosity to the life of our church and the life of those around us in our community. We just want to say thank you for the way that you financially contribute to what we do as a church. And if you want to find out more, there's details about how to give down below. It's been wonderful seeing what you guys have been up to during lockdown. So we have some photos to share with you, highlights of this week. And then after that, we're launching our new series titled Didn't See It Coming. We have a video to kick that one off, so check it out.
Vincent!
Well, good morning and thank you again for joining us online. As far as I'm aware, no one was hurt in the making of those videos, but I won't guarantee anything because I wasn't there to film those. There is a video of me somewhere. I'm going to try and see if I can find it now. I actually made the finals of Australia's funniest home videos once for running headfirst into one of my friends at my 6th birthday party. So that would have been perfect for that video. We'll see if I can track that down. And great to see what some of you have been up to at home during this week as well. Thanks for continuing to send through those updates. It's great to still be aware of the fact that we're a part of a broader community at the moment. But hey, really excited today to open up this brand new series for us that we've called Didn't See It Coming. And it's a series that as soon as we started thinking about what we were going to try and tackle throughout this, it was something that really connected with me, and I truly hope that it's something that can help you too. And I want to start off with something that I don't know and something that I do know. That's where I want to kind of kick things off today, if you like. And the thing that I don't know, I'll start there, is that I don't really know what you're facing as you watch this morning. I could have a guess based on global circumstances at the moment, what some of the things on your mind might be. But really, I don't know exactly what it is that you yourself are facing. I don't know whether there's job stress or work stress, job or work stress, or maybe tension in the home for you, or maybe financial stress or relationship stress. I don't know whether things are going just swimmingly for you at the moment. Whatever the circumstances are for you as you watch this, I'm not completely sure, and I don't want to pretend that I know exactly what it is that you're facing. But here is what I do know as we think about this series. I do know that you and I have a choice about the way we find our way through the circumstances we find ourselves in. There's this old adage that says, everyone you meet is fighting a battle that you probably know nothing about. And I completely agree with that. But here is what I do know, is that we all get to choose how we face the battles that we are having. And I don't want to pretend to completely play down the fact that there are some really hard things that some of you are no doubt facing at the moment. And you might say to me, yeah, but it's easy for you to say you don't know what I'm facing. And to my first point, that's exactly right. I don't know what it is that you're facing. But I do know this, that we do get some degree of choice in how we face the battles we find ourselves in. Come with me for a moment on that thought. You see, there's this really old book in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament, in the first part of the Bible, and it's called Jeremiah. And it was written by someone we call a prophet, someone that we believe has heard from God and then passes on those words from God. It might be instruction or encouragement or rebuke, all sorts of different things. And it's kind of a strange and foreign idea, maybe for you today, and it certainly is an odd idea. But nonetheless, we have these written down instructions, like I said, or rebukes or encouragements that people have written down that they believed they heard from God to pass on to us. And they're incredibly powerful. And there's something that I want to read from the book of Jeremiah this morning, from some words that this prophet believed he heard from God. And it's in Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. And it says this: "Stand by the ways and see and ask for the ancient paths, where the good way is, and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls." Isn't that just a beautiful picture? You see, we all have to find a way through the circumstances that we're facing. We have no control over the circumstances that we find ourselves in at times. But regardless of the circumstances, we have to stand by the way and seek for the best path to get through. And what a beautiful picture that we're offered from Jeremiah here, that we could find the good way and walk in it. Find the way that will provide rest for our souls. You see, Jeremiah was speaking to the people of Israel, who were the people who were seeking after the way that God had created for man to live, that they sought, for most of the story, instruction from God on the way that they should conduct relationships with one another and with other nations around them. And if you've read much of the Old Testament, it is a frustrating journey, much like our own can be times, where we seek after the best way to do things. We try to be the best that we can, but we fall short again and again. And regardless of whether you see this as exactly what I explained before, a word from God to people instructing them on the way that God would have us live, on the way that we were created to live and exist and do life and relationship with one another. Regardless of that's how you view this, I still think the same choice lies before you. We all have to choose the way that we pass through our circumstances. And isn't it a beautiful idea that there is a good way that we can walk in that will provide rest for our souls? You see, one thing that would bring rest for all of us, wouldn't that be a beautiful way to go through life? How is your soul? How is your emotions, your mind, your ability to think clearly? How are the relationships of those closest to you going right now? What is it like to be on the other side of you? Are you moving through the challenges that you face in a way that is healthy for your soul and as a result for the people around you? What is the way that you are choosing to walk in? And if I go on and I read just the last part of this verse, Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16, the last part says this: "But they said," referring to the people of Israel who this encouragement is being passed to, "we will not walk in it." And isn't that an alarming thought? That they knew that their God, that they believed in and they trusted in moments, had created a way for them to follow that would bring rest for their souls, but they did not walk in it. You see, I think the same tension is there for a lot of us when we think about the challenges that we face. Could it be that there is a better way for us to find the way through the challenges that we face? And so many of us, and there's so much evidence out there at the moment suggesting that unfortunately not many of us are finding that way. You see, there was some research completed just at the beginning of this year by an American website which surveyed 1,500 workers in the workforce, and they found that more than half of the respondents, more than half of those who got back to them on their survey were experiencing burnout. More than half of those people were experiencing stress, were experiencing emotional tiredness, mental tiredness, spiritual emptiness as a result of long-term stress. They had found a way through the challenges that they were facing that was resulting not in rest for their souls, but quite the opposite, burnout. And unfortunately, it seems that this kind of result is all around us. We do life perhaps more busily and more quickly than any other time before, and so many people, whether it's yourself or you can think of people in the world around you who you could recognize are doing things in a way that is not leading them to find rest for their souls and peace and joy for the journey, but it's actually leading them to experience something like burnout. Here's the tough thing though, and here's the name for our series. It's not that we disagree. I'm sure most of you would agree with what I've said so far. But if we could keep our focus on the way that we were taking at all times, we wouldn't experience this problem so much, I would think. And here's the challenge, is that we often don't see it coming. We often don't see it coming. We don't see that our emotional energy is draining, our mental energy is draining, our physical energy is going out the door until it's too late. So it begs the question for us right here at the beginning of this series: what is the way that we can walk in that we can experience rest for our souls? What can we do to make sure that we don't have to experience burnout? And I want to suggest that there is a way. And we're going to explore that together. We're going to start today and move through the next few weeks. But I want you at the end of this series, whoever you are, wherever you're at with your own idea of a relationship with God and Jesus and faith, I hope that this is helpful for you. I hope that you can take the things that we talk about and the principles that we can observe, and it's something that could help you in your life to experience life with more rest for your soul. And I truly believe that what I've got to share and what we're going to hear over the course of this series can help you with that. And I hope that you'll engage with us not only this week, but come back again next week to hear more about that. But first of all, to today. And I want to share just briefly a personal story. A few years ago, some friends and I, as well as my dad and my brother, set off to Tasmania, and maybe I've told this story to some of you before. We set off to Tasmania to complete what was called the Overland Track, or what is called the Overland Track. It's still there. And we did it in, I think it was 3 days of hiking, where you were hiking through the middle of the heart of Tasmania, and there's all these beautiful mountains and passes and valleys, and it is truly stunning. And the whole way, the amazing thing is you're kind of away from the hustle and bustle of life. You've probably heard, if you've seen a movie like Into the Wild, it changes your life when you go hiking, right? And I do love that experience of putting everything that you need on your back, disconnecting from all of the things that our smartphones bring into our lives, and going out bush just with some friends for a few days. And we had a beautiful time. We had a great time, and we got towards the end of this walk, and the weather had been perfect the whole way, and we'd overpacked food, so we were feasting every night. And on the very last day, we got into the hut that we were to sleep in before we walked out of the hike and caught the bus back to town the next day. And we met the ranger who was also staying in there the night, and they warned us that there was some weather moving in. And the last day for us was hiking over Cradle Mountain and out the other side. And that's one of the higher points of the hike. And we heard that there was in fact a blizzard coming through the day we were supposed to be walking out. And I want to share with you the pictures of the markers that you're supposed to follow in order to find your way through the Overland Track and successfully make it out the other side. It's worth saying that none of us on this trip were expert navigators of backcountry blizzard type conditions. We wouldn't have been able to find our way out successfully without these markers that I'm now showing you on the screen. Bright orange, right? You can't miss them. And it came to the last day, and the conditions, sure enough, turned to something more like this picture. But you see, in that picture, you can still clearly see the orange marker. The difference between that picture and what we experienced was that there was so much snow as we walked from the hut and up over the mountain, and we were fairly relaxed. It was beautiful. We don't get to see snow too often, so it was still kind of fun. But very quickly, conditions changed, and eventually there was so much snow that we could no longer see the posts with the orange markers on them. We could not see the direction we were supposed to go. We could not find the way to get out of the track. And I want to suggest that it's similar in life sometimes. We set off with some guides, some benchmarks, some directions that we follow, but quickly things can become overwhelming and difficult, and you can lose sight of what it was that you initially set out with as your guide. Perhaps it's key friendships or family relationships, or a job that you love, or a car that you've been trying to get. And if you get this car, that's the target. That's what I'm aiming for. That's what I'm going for. Whatever it is for you, whatever it is that you set up as your guides, as your markers, so that you can find your way through the challenges you find yourself in. Doesn't it just happen sometimes that things can build up in such a way that we can lose sight of what those things are? It's not that those things are bad. It's not that those things are always destructive. I mean, the orange markers were great for us, but when they were buried with snow, when we became overwhelmed by the conditions that were around us and we could no longer see them as our guide, they just weren't helpful anymore. And in fact, we found ourselves trying to dig around and find where they were, and that just became dangerous because we ended up getting off the track, and we knew that underneath all the snow, somewhere, there was a river that we could have fallen through snow into. But you see, what happened next was the key thing. This is the most memorable part of this whole hike for us. We were hiking, and all of us were crawling and sinking in the snow and having to crawl back out. And That's all right.
Biting me. Stupid. No.
But you see, the adventure wasn't over yet, because what happened next defined that day in a lot of ways. My dad, who was about 20 meters behind me, sunk so deep in a snow hole that when he pulled himself out, his boot didn't come back out with his foot. But the dangerous part of that was we didn't know it had come off. So behind him, one of my other friends got up to the hole where he'd sunk and found his boot. And it had been a solid 2 or 3 minutes since my dad had been at that point. He'd moved forward at that point. We were all spaced out at this point. It was taking that long to make progress. And he yelled out, Garth, is this your shoe? Yelled out to my dad, is this your shoe? And sure enough, my dad looked down and he didn't have a shoe on his foot. And it's safe to say that that's a dangerous place to find yourself in when you're hip deep in snow, not having realized that your boot has fallen off because your feet are getting so cold. And so things got a little bit hairy there for just a moment. But right after that happened, ahead, the person who was leading us, my friend Mike, was all the way at the front, and he yelled out, hut, 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 there's a hut. And we didn't know that there was supposed to be shelter for quite some time. We had completely lost track of where we were. But in that moment, Mike yelling out that he had found some permanent shelter for us to go and hide in, particularly with what had just happened to my dad, was the best possible lifeline for us in that moment. And it gave us the hope we needed to be able to push on and drag Dad. And sure enough, he lost feeling in his big toes for the next 6 months, and we can laugh about it now, but it was a scary moment. So what had happened in that moment for us was that we'd lost the way. But because Mike, or a person, had gone ahead and seen the way through, he was able to yell out and guide us. And I want to suggest to us this morning that that is the Jesus way, or the way that brings rest for your souls, of finding your way through the challenges that you might face. You see, the story of the Christian faith, the story of the Christian belief, isn't that we know the way through. Isn't that we have all the secrets to unlocking every single challenge that we find in life. But it is that someone did it for us and has said, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. If you believe in me, then you too can find the way. And that story links right back to that moment in Jeremiah that I shared, where the people of Israel were trying desperately to find a way, and the story continues and they continue to fall short. So eventually God says, I'm going to have to sort this out for you. And God comes in the form of man as Jesus and says, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life that you need to find rest for your souls. You see, there's never a way that we can invent for ourselves that's going to bring fulfillment, that's going to bring peace, that's going to bring joy, that's going to bring rest for our souls. But there is a person who claimed that he could do so. And I know for me and many of you watching today, that you have experienced that kind of peace and rest for your souls because of saying yes to a relationship with Jesus. You see, Jesus didn't just provide a way. He provided a person for us who experienced what we experienced and found a way through. A person we can look to, like I had to look to Mike to find our way off the overland track and prevent Dad from losing his foot. A person to look to get us through the challenges that we face. Listen to these beautiful words of Jesus that we're going to unpack as we continue with this series in the next few weeks. We find it in the gospel account of Matthew. Matthew was a Jewish man who recorded the story of Jesus in order to show that Jesus was in fact the fulfillment of what the people of Israel had been looking to, like in that story where, like in those passages that I shared earlier from Jeremiah, where people were trying to find a way. The people of Israel were trying to find a way. And Matthew's writing to show that Jesus is in fact the way that we all need. And in Matthew 11, verses 28 to 30, we have some beautiful words of Jesus recorded, and they go like this: Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. It's not that there won't be challenges, but take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Do it my way, in other words. For I am gentle and humble in heart. And here it is, the promise that we've been looking for all along. And you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is comfortable and my burden is light. Did you catch that? Jesus claims to be the fulfillment, the rest for our souls that our burning out world is crying out for. Jesus claims to be exactly the way that we all need to find our way through the challenges that life can bring. So what is it? What is it that Jesus teaches us that can help us to find a way through without burning out? We're going to unpack that further as we go through the next few weeks. But today, I hope that just maybe for you, if you're already a follower of Jesus, you might be able to pause and say, am I truly taking Jesus at his word? Am I taking him seriously and looking to Jesus as the way that I need to find myself getting through the challenges that I face right now with my soul still intact? And maybe for you, you've never said yes, or maybe you said yes a long time ago and you've gone away from the Jesus way, from the person of Jesus as the place and the person and the relationship that you need to experience peace for your soul. But I would encourage you, as we unpack this and we consider the challenges that we all face, whilst those challenges might vary greatly, Jesus said, I am the way that each of us needs. And I hope that you might just come back next week and explore more of what that can look like. But would you just begin today to consider a relationship with Jesus? Maybe begin to pull out Matthew, maybe take a look at some of the teachings of Jesus and just see what it does for your soul. Pause and pray this week. Pause and pray. Jesus, show me your way. Would you fill me with your peace to get through this situation? I hope that that's an encouragement for each and every one of us, no matter where you're at with your own relationship with Jesus, and no matter where you're at with the challenges that you are facing. And I would encourage you, as I've already said, as we unpack this, I would just ask, even if you're not sure if this is for you yet, come back next week and explore the teachings and the way that Jesus has for us, that we're going to be asking questions about over the next few weeks, to find a way through life that brings rest for our souls. As we close today, I've asked Matt and Janine, who are part of our community here at Impact Church, to pray for us in this idea, in following the Jesus way of getting through life. And I'm going to pass to them now, and then we're going to spend a moment listening to a song together as well.
Hey Impactors, Matt and Ann just saying hello. We miss all you guys so much, and we are hanging out to get back and to see everyone again face to face, to give you guys a big hug and just be in your company again. So keep chugging away like we all are in lockdown. Enjoy the chance to rest at home. Be still and know that God is God, and look to him for your strength, for your source of supply, and for every good thing that he can give us. And as Caleb asked, we will close off in prayer, guys. So please close your eyes, bow your heads, do whatever it is you feel comfortable doing to focus in and letting our Father do what he needs to do. So Lord, thank you for Caleb. Thank you for the word that he brings us. Thank you for the way that he and Jono kind of set the tone and set the pace and set the direction for Impact Church and Suncoast, and that the blessings they bring and the great job that they do, just looking after us all and keeping us all on track, or helping to keep us all on track. Lord, we pray that you remain our source and supply, and that everything that happens this week and beyond is just us working with you and loving you and taking on whatever comes, working through it with you and conquering. Lord, just getting through it, getting past it and staying on top of it and soaring above it, because you are there with us and you are our help and you are good and we know that you love us. So bless you, Impacts. Bless you, anyone else that's watching. We hope you guys have a fantastic week. And carry on carrying on. Stay safe, and stay well. See ya.
People were together, strangers near. our blood is one. Children of generations, of every nation, of kingdom come. Don't let your heart, so don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high, don't fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth: God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. Hey, oh, 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 sing Jesus, Jesus, our redemption, our salvation is in His blood. Jesus, light of heaven, friend forever, His kingdom come. Don't let your heart, don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high, don't fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth: God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. In Jesus, our redemption and our salvation is in His blood. Jesus, light of heaven, friend forever, His kingdom come. Swing wide,
all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. Oh creation, everything with breath repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus.
swing wide.
Swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. Oh creation, everything with breath repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus.
Swing wide, swing wide, swing wide.
Swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. Oh creation, everything with breath repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus.
Sing Jesus,
Jesus, our redemption, our salvation, it's in His blood.
light of heaven.
Jesus, light of heaven, my friend forever, His kingdom come.
Oh Jesus, my redemption, my salvation, it's in Your blood. Jesus, the light of heaven, my friend forever, Your kingdom come.
We hope you enjoyed that song this morning and that the message was an encouragement to you. After this service at 11 a.m, we have our e-morning tea, and we'd love to see you there, whether you're new to Impact or whether you come regularly on a Sunday. We'd love to invite you. The details are down below. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you in Connect groups this week, or we'd love to see you next Sunday. Have a wonderful week. No, that ended weird. Why was that weird?